In the current affairs this week, the week ended 14th of April 2024. I always start with whatever is happening in different markets, the Indian markets, the global commodity markets, and the US markets. But this week, there is nothing which is so noteworthy insofar as whatever has happened in all these three markets, as all these three markets were at the end of the week, they were quite unchanged and the moment was just sideways. But whatever happened on the last day of this week, which was attack by Iran on Israel, and as we all know that Israel is a country which would definitely retaliate, and the things which will follow thereafter, we really don't know how the things would take turn. And this is going to create a lot of events and moments next week. We will all have to helplessly wait and watch whatever is happening. Whether this crisis is just limited to a couple of countries and that particular region, or more and more countries which are friendlier to both these countries join this war and create a global crisis which might impact everybody in the world directly or indirectly. But it is what the time would say in the next week and the weeks thereafter. Now, one of the major talking points which is out there in the minds of every other investor is the way the prices of gold and silver are moving. Especially when it comes to gold, what we have seen all these years is that the relationship of the prices of gold is inverse to that of the stock market. So when you look at any major upswing in the prices of gold or the stock market, you would see that in a 2 to 3 year time frame, they are inversely related. The case in the point is the times when there was a subprime crisis, the stock markets went down, but the prices of gold went up. The same was a scenario where the inverse relationship was when at the time of COVID, the gold prices went up and the stock prices went down. But the interesting thing is, when you look at a 10-year time frame, they are positively correlated, and both the stock markets and the gold prices have appreciated over a 10-year time frame. But as I said, that in a short run, in 2 to 3 years time frame, when the stock markets have gone up, the gold prices have come down. But there is something which is different which is happening in the present times. In the present times, today, the global equity markets, especially the markets in the US, and when it comes to our own Indian markets, both the Indian and the US markets are going up. At the same time, the gold prices are also going up. So there is a positive correlation rather than the inverse correlation which it has been all these years, as I have illustrated. Now, what is happening in this present times? There is a war in some part of the world. In the Middle East, there is a crisis. So all those people who are centered in the Middle East think very differently than what people think in India and the US. They are in a crisis zone. So they have their investments which are linked to flight to safety. Now, there are several central banks in the world, especially the Chinese central bank, which is slowly moving from keeping its reserves in US securities to that into gold. They are slowly converting the reserves from US dollars to gold. There is a section of investors in the world who have lost faith in the fiat currency, especially the US dollar, and the currencies which have been issued by the central banks of the various countries. And they think that the only place to find refuge in these times is gold, and even some of them are thinking and investing in cryptocurrencies, especially like bitcoins. So this is what is fueling the advent of price rise in gold. On the top of it, there is an inflationary trend across the world, right from the US to every other part of the world. So in the times of inflation, prices of gold have always increased. So this is the scenario which has led to the increase in the prices of both gold and also the stock markets. The stock markets have been rising for the reason of the dynamics of different economies. India, as we all know, is a strong engine of growth in the developing economies of the world. While as US stock markets have also been doing quite good for its own reasons. In this kind of a situation, we see that gold and the stock markets both are doing good. Now, what is in store? What is coming up when it comes to the prices of gold? The tensions in the Middle East and in certain parts of the world, they still continue, and there is no letdown in it. The central banks of certain hostile economies, like the Chinese economy, are converting their dollars into gold. This trend is continuing. So the prices of gold might rise, and there is no reason to them getting softened or reversed in the near future. Lastly, I came across through a very interesting comment by Elon Musk, where he predicts that artificial intelligence will be smarter than the smartest human being in the next year, or latest by 2026. This is all for this week. Thank you.